Okay, welcome everyone to the webinar today. My name is AJ and we have Amanda Lee who's joined us as well, and we'll go through who we are in a few minutes. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. This is a listen-only webinar, so if you have any questions, we'd love to hear them, but you unfortunately can't actually speak in the sense that we can't hear you. So please ask any questions using the chat box at the bottom of your Zoom webinar screen, and we'll get to the questions and the answers at the end of today's webinar. So look, we're all very busy. Time is precious, so we want to get started. And to kick off today's webinar, we want to firstly introduce who we are and why are we talking to you today about the 90-day receivables turnaround program. So Amanda, why don't you kick off first and just give a quick introduction to yourself and as to why you are talking to everyone today.
Thanks, AJ. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So I've been in receivables management for 15 years, running my own business and helping many companies on small to very large scales with receivables management. The reason I'm here today is because I have proven solutions that will help you recover any debts that you have in 90 days and put that money in your bank. And because of the times we're in, AJ invited me to do this here with ezyCollect because it's just such important times right now to have every cent that you can in your bank. It's volatile times and it's really necessary that we get this information to you.
Thanks, Amanda. That was a good introduction, and I think you undersold yourself tremendously. Amanda is also, I think, a real expert here because she's all about having that human connection when it comes to getting paid on time, and it's something which is, I think, missing and is even very important more than ever in today's day and age. My name is AJ. I'm the CEO of ezyCollect, and before starting ezyCollect, I ran a wholesale distribution business, and I felt firsthand the pain when it came to getting my customers to pay me on time. It was difficult, stressful, hard. I lost a lot of hair. And I got more white hair on my beard because of that. And I understand the pain of receivables challenge. And that's why I started ezyCollect. It's a platform that is helping businesses, small and medium businesses, to manage the cash collection process using automation and technology. And we work a lot with Amanda, with a lot of our joint customers, because technology by itself doesn't solve the problem. It's about human automation, is what we call it. And so today we've got over 1,200 customers across 18 countries using the product. We know it works, and we want to share that with you today. And that's what we'll take in the next 25 minutes to show you how we can absolutely help your business have the same benefits. So let's get started. Now, we have a 90-day receivables turnaround program that we talked about today, but because you've taken the time to attend to today's webinar, we want to explain why this program will give you guaranteed results. Now, what we want you to, if you want these results that we'll show you, it's a 90-day program, and we call it the ezyCollect Retriever methodology, because ezyCollect is a business I work in and the Retriever is a business that Amanda works in. And the methodology is very simple, okay? And we'll go through that. And we know small, medium businesses don't have time, money, they don't have the capacity to think of something new. So it's kept really simple and very much you can apply this methodology today. But what do we guarantee first, Amanda? Let's go through that, okay? Because that's where we start.
Sure.
So this first point, we reduce your overdue debtors or your overdue accounts by 70%. That's a pretty big claim. Can we guarantee that, Amanda?
We can guarantee that. And in fact, I can guarantee 90% to 95%. But if I stuck that number there, people just think it's so ridiculous. They find it really hard to believe that. So I have to dumb the numbers down, actually, because our methodology is so successful. 70% will be a worst case scenario as far as I'm concerned. So absolutely, we guarantee those numbers. So I just want to say to listeners now that one thing that I really want you to do at the end of this webinar is print your aged receivables report. And I want you to get real and present to how much money is actually trading outside terms and what's really sitting there, and what difference would it make to your business if that money was in your bank account. Now, it might be $100,000, it might be $1 million, it might be $5 million, but whatever it is, I'm sure it would make a big difference to have it in your bank. So we're serious about this methodology doing that for you, getting your money in the bank.
Yeah. And look, I think let's just say we don't know everyone's specific circumstances. Everyone's in a very different business.
Correct.
But what we do know is we can also guarantee that we can increase cash flow within a month of you putting this in place. Now, that percentage of increase could be tremendous depending on how committed you are to this program. And it's something which we will absolutely guarantee you will have benefits. You will walk away with a better business at the end of this process.
Yes.
And this is, to me, a really big one, Amanda, and it's one that I'd like you to talk about is how can we eliminate bad debts? I mean, that's a pretty big claim too. How do you
So my theory here is most people are reactive to their overdue debtors rather than proactive. So what I mean by that is most businesses find this whole process overwhelming. They find it emotionally and mentally challenging, and often they don't have someone in the business particularly assigned to the AR role unless they are a larger business, and that can be a problem in smaller businesses. So what you need to do is communicate with your customers, and obviously bringing that humanness into that communication, which we'll talk about soon. But the only way to eliminate bad debts and keep your costs down for collection is engaging and communicating with your customers from the moment the bill comes due, not leaving it for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or even waiting till it's 90 days overdue before you emotionally respond to that and go, oh my goodness, they need to pay me, because you're feeling the stress and strain of not enough money in the bank. You're struggling to pay wages, you're struggling to pay creditors, because your customers have literally got your money in their bank. So eliminating bad debt is starting to talk to people and collect the debt within 3 to 5 days of the due date.
Okay, so let's talk about that in a minute. And look, obviously, the big benefit is we want to reduce your stress so you can run a better business, focus on what you have to do in your business, and eliminate your worry. So let's go through what is our 3-step program to helping you get those guaranteed results. And the first step here is what we call humanized automation. Now, as a context here, the word is it's been very purposefully put together, humanized automation. They both go hand in hand. You need to have systems and tools and processes to ensure that you can be efficient with your time, but you cannot automate and let your AI run on autopilot. It can't be set and forget. You need to have that human element more now than ever. So let's go through step by step. First, let's talk about the whole automation and what we call the squeaky wheel. Right, and we'll do that in the context of the 30-80-100 rule. So I'll do the first 30%. Amanda, you tell us about the 80%, and then we'll both talk about the 100% rule. Sure. So with the 30% rule, is our data shows us, our stats show us that your low-hanging fruit sits with about 30% of customers that are going to pay when they get a couple of email or SMS reminders. These are customers that you don't need to necessarily call. These are customers that are good payers who see an email, see an SMS, they pay, and you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to spend time on them. So having some type of automation to cater for that's really important. And I'm not just talking about email reminders. Certain businesses prefer SMS. Some people want to, letter via the post. You can automate all that, right? It depends on the kind of business that you're actually dealing with. And so it's those 30% that you can use a system like ezyCollect or any other system to help you with that first 30%. But then how do you know what the next step is? If you keep sending emails, what we see is a diminishing return. So to get from 30% of people collecting to 80%, we have to introduce, Amanda, the human element. Right, and we call that making a phone call. And maybe you can talk a bit more about that 80%, Amanda. How do we move from 30 to 80?
Yeah, so jumping from 30 to 80 is obviously a 50% difference. So the 30% is the low-hanging fruit, as you said, that will pay pretty much with just a reminder. That next 50%, that brings in 80% of your ledger. So the next 50% are people that always require a little bit more. So once the first automations happen, and look, I'm a big fan of systemization and technology. But you have to have this human element, because without this human element, you will write off bad debts. So the human element here is that next 50% will require 1 to 2 phone calls to inquire about a payment date, or is there anything we need to address in order for payment to be made. You need to be communicating with them to find out why they haven't paid yet. And this is also the point where you can institute a payment plan if they can't pay in full now. Because if people do need a payment plan and can't pay you in full, you want to get that payment plan instituted as soon as possible. You don't want to institute a payment plan when they're already 90 days overdue. So this is where the communication flow is so vital. And then can we jump to the next 20%, AJ? So
Yeah.
in that next 20% are usually the people that become bad debts, or people that have a serious cash flow issue in their own business. And you are definitely going to have payment plans and negotiations in place with them, and some very real communications to make sure that they end up paying their debt to you. So that's basically the rule of thumb in most businesses for their percentages of debt on their ledger.
Yeah.
So,
and Amanda, just to add to that. So, like we mentioned, you can have automation helping you with the first couple of steps. That continuous flow of communication, or as we call that squeaky wheel, is really important. But
yes.
often AR teams and financial controllers just don't know, who to call, when to call, how to call. So you can use systemization to say, hey, you know what, today is the day you have to make these 10 calls. And we'll talk about that a bit more in the next step. But knowing when to call and who to call and what to say is really important. And that's where you can kind of combine that humanness to say, hey, you know what, I can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. I need to, at some point, do something different. But knowing when to do it is when you can use systemization and automation. And just to give some context, what I'm showing everyone here is an ezyCollect screen. So this is the actual app that connects to your accounting system, whether it be Xero or MYOB or NetSuite or whatever you guys use. And it allows you to put in place a process to have that continuous communication. Sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
The beauty of this is, notice how here AJ's got first follow-up as an email, then an SMS, then a call. So you can actually structure the communication, whether it's technology or a human being doing the communication, which is vital. And depending on your industry or your business or the demographic of customers that you have, that automated communication rules there will be different. You cannot just take a set platform for that and apply it to your own business. It has to be tailored to your business. And if you continually just send out automated messages to customers, in fact, what you do is damage the relationship. And that's a mistake a lot of businesses are making with technology now when it comes to accounts. Technology is vital as part of your reminders and managing your receivables. But if it's all you're using and you're actually pulling back from having the human communication, you're making a very big mistake. It has to be that balance.
Yeah, I think so too. And, one thing is, like we said, to get from that 30 to 80, that call is required. So businesses to say, I'm too busy, I'll just automate all my emails and my SMSs, and it doesn't work. You need to have that call step, and that's how you really improve that cash flow and how you can get to that 70% of guaranteed result. And the other big thing, if you notice, is this thing that we have as a thank you message. This is a pro tip from Amanda about the fact that having a thank you message, again, you can automate this thank you message. When someone makes a payment, ezyCollect will know automatically because it's been paid in your accounting system, and it can send a thank you message. But why is it a pro tip, Amanda? Why is a thank you message so important?
A thank you message is really important because this comes down to psychology. So the problem with accounts receivable is a lot of businesses only ever talk to their customers about accounts when they have an overdue account. And that can be an issue. So one thing I'm really strong on and that I teach my clients and AR people is, especially the customers that are fairly good payers that you probably don't have a lot of communication with about their account, it's really good to automate thank you messages, but every now and then it's also a really good idea to phone a customer. Even if the automated thank you message has gone out, that's great, that's fine. But a phone call is very powerful, and I'll tell you why. Because they don't have any other creditor that's ringing them to say thank you. Who picks up the phone and takes time to thank you for making a payment to them? And I especially train my clients to do that for customers that have stuck to their payment plans and have maybe taken a little while to pay off an older debt. And every now and then I make a phone call to them and thank them for adhering to their arrangement, thank them for sticking to the deal, and appreciate the payments they've been making. And I guarantee you they will never miss a beat and they will never miss a payment. And it's the same with the thank you when people do make a payment. Sometimes just, it doesn't have to be every month you ring every customer, but maybe over a process of 6 months, you just take different parts of the ledger and make a few thank you calls. You will be amazed the difference that makes to the relationship with the customer. It's a pro tip.
And Amanda, I'll give you another example. Some of our customers use a thank you message as a way to sell more goods. So, for example, they'll send a thank you message saying, hey, thanks for making this payment. By the way, here are our specials for next month as well. So they use a thank you message as a way to sell more of their products. So it's a very powerful tool that you can automate.
Yes.
And it's something which I think Amanda's story is to me, I would have never thought of that, of calling a customer to thank them for payment because they're paying me. It's like, of course you should pay me. But no one else calls them to thank them. You should be in that 0.1% of actually people that do call. So thanks for sharing that story.
The thing I want to say there too is this is where you can do very small things that don't take a lot of time that humanize your relationship with your customer. And this is the number one thing that we all have to remember. As human beings, we want connection. And now with coronavirus and all this stuff going on, it's even more vital. People are feeling very vulnerable. So these small pro tips that we're giving you here are actually going to make an incredible difference to the relationship that you have with your customer. And it is going to humanize it and change it immediately. So it's all about the connection.
Yeah. And even with your automated emails, for everyone who's on the webinar today, we'll send you a template that Amanda's crafted that we've implemented into ezyCollect, into one of the automated communications that can be sent out that's very timely about what's happening in businesses today with JobKeeper payments being sent to businesses. You want to be on top of that payment queue. So this template can actually be used within your ezyCollect product to give you a very humanized approach to the fact that, hey, you've got payments. We know that times are tough, and we'll send that to everyone. We'll send everyone that template at the end of this webinar as well, because it's something which will talk to you about how do you humanize automated communication as well.
Yes, that's perfect, right. AJ. And that communication has to be fairly on point right now because people are in extreme circumstances, and a lot of businesses, we're all in a very different space and we don't know where we're going to be in 3 months or 6 months. So communication is really vital right now, and the right communication. And then that communication has to continue in a proper frame and stream as well.
Yeah. So if Amanda and I are talking a lot about this, we're very passionate. We both want to keep imparting our knowledge. So if you see us talking over each other, a lot of it is because we just want to get out there and tell you this works. We believe in it, wholeheartedly, that this is the best way to manage your cash flow. So let's move to step 2, because it's a half-an-hour webinar, and I think we spent a bit of time on this first step. But really, step 1 is all about use automation, get the squeaky wheel in place in a way that humanizes that process. Step 2 is, Amanda's very proud of this one. This is her little thing that she calls stats to chats.
Yeah.
Right now, stats to chats is all about how do calls really help when it comes to managing your relationships. So Amanda, before I just get you to talk about this, let me just explain to you about how calls work, and then Amanda, you can talk about the stats to chats. So as we mentioned, you've got an automated follow-up process that you set up in ezyCollect that's bespoke to your business. Templates are customized. At some point, a call is due. So when a call is due, your accounts team or your financial management team will get a list of calls they have to make in their email, and that's like a daily calls to be made email. They will log into ezyCollect, and right in the app, they can see all the tasks that they have to make. Tasks, in this case, are the calls that they have to make. Now, Amanda, maybe I'll hand over to you. If you can talk through what this screen does for you in your other businesses that you use ezyCollect, and what does stats to chats actually mean?
Okay, so when we look at this screen, if you see on the far right-hand side, there's some credit insights information there about this customer, which is a culmination of information as to how they're paying other creditors. They may be paying you on time and have their account reasonably good with you, but this screen is vital information for knowing how to manage this relationship with your customer. So a lot of clients will look at this screen and they see that a lot of these customers have a severe credit ratio, and they will panic and they'll go, I call it the oh my God screen. So, a lot of business owners look at that and go, oh, we need to get that money in right now. These people, they're going broke. But this isn't the case always. So I look at this screen and I call this the chat screen, because this screen, these are the customers that you want to talk to really authentically, in a really caring and concerned way, as to how you can help them with their cash flow so that they're paying your account. Now, what I mean by that is you may institute a payment plan, but whatever it is, you need to get right into the back end of these relationships with these customers, because even if they're paying other people late, trust me, it doesn't mean that they need to pay you late, because if you've got a great relationship with them and they like you and you've got all availability to assist them in every way possible, and that doesn't mean allowing people not to pay. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is when you're communicating with people on a really connected level, right, you have a relationship with them that they don't have with any other creditor. So guess what? They will go above and beyond for you to get you a few extra dollars or to make a regular payment arrangement with you, which they're not doing with other creditors. So that's the key to that screen. It's not an oh my God screen. That is a screen where you take those stats, turn them into chats, and get your money in the door.
Yeah, and Amanda, that's a really powerful story. When most people see this severe action, and just to say what you said, this data that we have for severe is actually right in the ezyCollect app. Again, this is using technology. We've got credit bureau data from external credit risk scores right into the app, combined with your own data on how they pay you, and it'll automatically suggest what is the risk level of this debtor. And normally, Amanda, I'd be like, oh no, this is a risk level. I'm going to send them straight into the debt collector, or I'm going to escalate to a debt collector through the app. And what you have said to me, which kind of has changed my view on things, is maybe call a customer and say, look, I know perhaps that you're having a tough time because I have superpowers. I can see into the future, but perhaps how can we help you? How can we be on top of that payment list if you are a high-risk debtor? And maybe you also, in your business, pull back a bit on the credit that you're going to extend to them as well, right? You maybe just be careful about that because you know they're a higher-risk debtor. So, yeah, I think that's a good point, Amanda.
Can I just say something there, AJ? Also, this is where, if you've got your ledger in fairly good shape, this is where you can really support customers because you don't have a lot of money outstanding and you're not carrying a lot of risk on your ledger. So when you do the 90-day turnaround program and you get your money in the bank, you actually are able to do more for your community and your customers because you're able to assist people when they are in a bit of a cash flow situation. But you can actually help them get out of it by, number one, continuing to supply them even though they owe you money, because you'll get them to prepay plus pay a little bit extra towards the account, but you'll continue to supply them so that they can continue to sell and make money. So there's many different ways that you can work with a customer to support them without actually impacting your own business too much. And those are obviously the things that I'm an expert at and that I impart to clients, because those are the really valuable tools that businesses need to have so that they really make sure they get every cent out of their customers and keep all their accounts up to date. So once again, being connected and caring about your customers, genuinely, being authentic.
Yeah, I think that's key. This calling screen and making the calls, managing disputes, promise to pays, using the data as an opportunity to connect with your customers, as Amanda mentioned, is critical in terms of humanizing your collections. And Amanda's, we have a few shared clients, and she's one of the few, and she doesn't directly necessarily do the calls herself. She will advise other AR teams on best practices, and most of her businesses that she's advising has about only 95% has 95% current, less than 5% overdue at any time of the month, which is phenomenal when you look at a business that's turning over, a few $1 million up to $20 million a year. It's amazing to have that. So that cash flow in your bank, it comes down to having relationships with your customers and using technology to enable you to be more effective and efficient with your time. This last point here, you have a pro tip to call and connect and get commitment. What do you mean by get commitment, Amanda?
So every call should always have a deliberate outcome, and that deliberate outcome is, the number one rule is we want the money in the bank. So every call that you make to a customer is about two things. It's about connection and it's about commitment. So we want to build the relationship while we're on that call and truly connect with them in a personal way, get clear about what's happening in their business and how we can help them. And then we need a very clear commitment about what they're paying, when they're paying, and how they're paying. So that's not this week, that's not soon, that's not maybe next Friday. So getting very clear about commitments and old sales things that I truly believe in, because I come from a strong sales background, is I always repeat the commitment the customer's made back to them and ask them to agree that that's actually the understanding. Because one of the mistakes a lot of people make in verbal communications is they assume what they've heard and they assume what the deal is. So don't assume what your customer has just said. Repeat it back to them and say, is this, have I heard you right? Is this when you're paying? This is how much and this is when. And get that firm commitment. So get them to say yes, or they'll either head you around and go, oh, well, I think that's what's going to. So you can get very clear about the commitment. And when you're clear about the commitment, psychologically what it does to them is that now is a real line in the sand and a promise. There's nothing grey about it. So everybody's clear about exactly what's happening. And then that gives you the ability for your next point of contact to come back to them if that actually doesn't happen, because you had their agreement that that was going to happen. So that's what the communication's about. Connect, commitment.
Perfect. Okay, and look, this is a 3-step process. So step 1 is done, humanize automation. Step 2, stats to chat. Last thing we'll spend a few minutes on and have some time for Q&A is pay for my holiday.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Look, what does that mean? We want you to enable your customers to we want you to pay for your customer's holiday. How are you going to do that, right? Because fundamentally, what we're talking about here is credit card payments. Now, businesses like to pay by cards. People like to pay by credit card. Why? Because they get points, they can extend their credit. And our data is showing us during the last 2 or 3 months, especially during this, COVID time, 22% of payments by credit card are actually made after 5 p.m. and before 9 a.m. And are you there at work to take that payment? Is someone picking up the phone? If you don't accept credit cards in an online manner, in a portal that allows your customers to pay you when it suits them, you are literally walking away from 22% of cash flow from credit card payments. And that's huge, right? It's massive. And, we talk about this thing about points being a really important reason why people pay credit cards. Perhaps, Amanda, you can share your story, what you were sharing with me the other day about, why your partner uses cards.
Mm-hmm. So, my partner is a prime example of how people are, and he's self-employed and had a roofing business, and Frank will literally only pay by credit card because he's got a goal every year, and that goal is he pays for our flights for 2 overseas holidays a year. He always wants 2 holidays a year, and he will pay for those flights with his Flybuys points. Now, he will go to the ends of the earth to get those points, right? He is all over those points. Now, I couldn't care less about points, but this is the thing. There are plenty of people out there who, if you don't take credit card, and especially Amex, I want to talk about that shortly, but if you don't take credit cards or have an online portal for people to pay after hours, you are losing out on a lot of money. And I also use the pay for my holiday phrase as a little bit of a giggle sometimes when you ring a customer, and it can, it's okay to have a joke. We're all human beings. So when people have had issues paying, and I say to them, do you have a credit card? And they go, well, yeah. And I go, well, look, do you want me to help you have a holiday this year? How about you pay by credit card? So we'll give you some points, right? So by allowing customers to pay by credit card, you're actually helping them have a holiday. Right, and a lot of right. So turn everything around to your own advantage to actually get a payment from people. So it's to your advantage to say to them, "Hey, if you pay by credit card, I'll help you have a holiday." It's a little bit of a joke, and it's a really good one. It goes a long way. But the importance of this of the credit cards is it's no joke. People want to pay by credit card because people want all these separate rewards and points that they get because of using these payment tools. So if you don't have credit card, then you are definitely in a desperate situation. You have to get credit card immediately, and you have to get some kind of online portal for people to pay after hours, 100%.
Yeah. And I think, Amanda, that's a good story. And adding a Pay Now button to your email reminders that go out, to your invoices, to your statements, it's something that you need to do. We can help you at ezyCollect do that. If you don't want to use ezyCollect, you can do it yourself, but do that. It's a big takeaway. Add the Pay Now button, have it simple, and allow your customers to see their invoices in a portal. They can pick the ones they want to pay. They can add their credit card details securely, safely, and the payment can be surcharged, as we mentioned, right? Not every business wants to absorb the credit card fees. Automatically surcharge. We can, I guess, through ezyCollect, automatically surcharge those fees. So you still get paid the $100 for your service that you want to get paid, and let your customer pay the extra $2 in credit card fees. It's their choice, right? But the point is, if you don't have this, you are missing out on cash flow. And the really good part of the payments system here is if you can automatically reconcile or write back into your accounting system, then that'll save you even more time, which is what ezyCollect does. So it's all about being efficient with technology, but understanding how humans work. They like to pay by credit cards. And, if you don't accept all card types, you are literally missing out on cash flow.
So can I talk here about the Amex?
Yeah, please do.
The reason Amex is important is because the demographic of people that have Amex is a slightly higher income bracket. And they're also an income bracket that will seek out suppliers that take Amex, because once again, they want the rewards and points, etc., that comes with the Amex cards. So the other reason most people don't accept Amex is because of the surcharges, and the business doesn't want to absorb that cost. So one thing that I say to people now is get Amex. And most people that have Amex are very happy to pay the fees, the surcharges. And you can say that, look, a lot of Visa and MasterCard users do not like paying a surcharge, because usually it's always been absorbed by businesses. But that is now changing as well. You've got supermarkets, you've got power companies, phone companies. They are now no longer absorbing credit card surcharges, and everybody is charged a fee if they want to pay by credit card. So society is actually starting to get used to having to pay for the privilege of using credit card, but customers are still willing to pay that because they want the other rewards and points that comes with using the credit card. Right? So my partner Frank's a prime example. He doesn't mind paying the surcharge if he gets his points, because that's still worth more to him than the surcharge. If you have the odd customer that really balks at the surcharge, just tell them to still pay online through your portal, and when you get the payment from them, you will actually just credit back the surcharge. But I strongly advise you only do that for very large clients that spend a reasonable amount of money with you. At the end of the day, most businesses now are starting to charge surcharges, or it's up to you if you still want to absorb it. But with Amex, always charge the surcharge, and all Amex users are happy to pay the surcharge if they can use their Amex card to pay their bill. So get Amex.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of the implementation of cards, don't be scared. Working with banks is sometimes hard. it's not hard anymore to accept credit cards. We know the pain of small to medium businesses. We've simplified it. Within 20 to 48 hours, you can be accepting payments in a portal. Your customers can see their invoices, and they can actually get you paid faster. So let's recap, because we said we had about half an hour for the webinar, and we're a little bit over time. So, and then we have a whole bunch of questions that have come in as well. So let's just go through and recap. What was the methodology? 3 steps. Step 1, how do we humanize collections? Step 2, stats to chats. And step 3, pay for my holiday. So it's not a complex methodology, but it's really, really effective. What we've gone through is human collections is the key to you getting paid faster, to you getting those guaranteed results of reducing your overdue accounts by 70%, or as Amanda said, even up to 90%, right? All within 90 days, and even probably sooner, right? But we're saying 90 days, as a good period of time so that you can also see it as a repeatable process. You'll increase your cash flow within a month. You'll eliminate bad debts, and you'll take away the stress. That's what we're guaranteeing with this methodology. Do you want to add into that, Amanda, before we move to the next point?
No, it's self-explanatory, and it really is real. I want to promise people out there listening that, when you look at your ledger, if you've got a lot of debt sitting on the ledger and it really is strangling your cash flow, and, as a business owner, I want you to know that I've seen the pain and the stress of many a business owner whose marriage has broken down, who can't go to their kids' school sports day, who is absolutely killing himself working 90 hours a week in the business to make more sales. But it doesn't matter how many sales he makes if he's not collecting it at the other end. And I've seen people who can't sleep at night and have become so stressed. This is a real issue for people's lives, not just their business. And I understand the impact that this has on people's lives, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. So for me, this isn't just about collecting overdue accounts and teaching businesses how to do that. For me, this is about helping business owners actually have a life and having a certain amount of management and control over their business and their life. It's really important to me. So this is real world stuff that I do every day, and I create these results every day for businesses. So I want you to take some comfort in that, because right now I know a lot of businesses are struggling.
Yeah, so look, Amanda and I are doing this every day across, 18 countries. We know the pain, but we also have done this because we are saying that let's help a handful of businesses that we can and take some time aside to actually help them during these tougher times. So, all right, Do you want in, right? If you want in, both Amanda and I have agreed for the first 20 clients that respond to this 90-day at ezycollect.com.au email address, we will offer the whole platform of ezyCollect free for 2 months, because we normally charge hundreds of dollars for it, but right now we know people are maybe having a tougher time, and we know that we just want to help, and that's why it's just free. It's free for 2 months. After 2 months, if you like it, you can continue. And Amanda's also throwing in 60 minutes of her time to help your AR team, or help you you if you're the CEO or the CFO, help you set up ezyCollect with the right templates, the right call scripts, the right best practice, I guess, tips and tricks to ensure that you get the most out of any system. And this thing is something we're happy to put out to the first 20 customers. It's just that after that, both our times become limited, so we can't effectively do it past 20 customers. That's why we're saying 20. It's not just a random number. It's just how much time we can spend in the next, 20 days, so you get those results. But again, what we said here, you can also implement without ezyCollect and Amanda. These are just tips that you can take away in your business, and you can put it in, and we guarantee you will see an improvement. Look, we've had a bunch of customers here that you can see some examples of businesses that across food, beverage, manufacturing, wholesale, distribution, services, accounting, bookkeepers. They've all benefited in their own way using this joint approach that Amanda and ezyCollect have just shared with you. So let's go through some Q&A, because we've got a couple of questions here. So did you want to take? I think the first one, Amanda, might be for you. Is there a recommended script for emails, SMSs, and calls that you would recommend?
There is a free overdue letter that we will make available to everybody that I've already done for ezyCollect customers or people on these webinars. And it's specifically designed for the times that we're in right now and communicating with your customers about the cash flow situations that everybody's got due to COVID. So that is what you need to be using right now. It's a really good template. The only thing that I will say to you about actual templates is this. Templates cannot really be templates. You can have a standardized type of communication, written communication, but that communication needs to be personalized language and positive language so that there's actually commitments and calls to action in there for people to take action. And most businesses get it wrong. The way that we write has to be very specific, and obviously this is a real skill and part of my skill set too. But the free letter that we're doing, that we've done for people, please use it. It's generating excellent results, and it will give you an idea of the way that you should structure the actual communication, written communication you have with your customers. And on the ezyCollect site, there's maybe, AJ, we could do the link to the actual letter in there where it gives the descriptions of why the letter's been written that way, so that people understand the format of the writing. That would be really valuable.
Yep, absolutely. We will absolutely do that, Amanda. The other question we've got here is, and I think I'm reading this correctly. I'm sorry, I've got a little note here, Amanda. We've also got a bunch of SMS and email scripts that we can share with people. If you hop onto the ezyCollect website, we have a section called Get Your Toolkit. In that toolkit, there's a bunch of SMS and email scripts that you can actually download. So from the ezyCollect website, you can hop on there and under resources, Get the Toolkit is a bunch of our top performing email templates, SMS scripts. You can just put in your details and you can actually get that as well. And as Amanda mentioned, we'll also get you the toolkit, the actual template and why it was written that particular way. The other question we had here was, and I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly, is there a ideal time for reminders to be sent? I'm not sure if that's the question that's being asked. So the person that just asked that question, if you might want to clarify that, but that's how I understood it. Perhaps you can answer that question, Amanda. Is there like an ideal time of the day when we should be sending email reminders or SMS reminders? Do you have any view on that?
Yes, there absolutely is. And that is very specific to the industry that you're in and the demographic of customers that you're dealing with. So there are particular days of the week that absolutely generate better results in certain industries than others. For example, there are some industries that you would never send anything on a Monday. It's absolutely pointless. It'll never get seen. It'll never get read, and they don't care. Manufacturing, manufacturing is an industry where, you don't contact them on Fridays. Fridays is when they're signing off for the week. They're making sure, they've got all their orders out. They're really busy. Often on the weekends, they're selling to retailers. So everything needs to be up to date. So it truly depends on your industry. And yes, there are specific times for different industries where communications are definitely more sent on certain days and reap better results. It's a good question.
And Amanda, how about the frequency? I think the question is the actual frequency. Do you do it daily, weekly, fortnightly? What's the, over that 90-day period that we are saying we have this program, what is the frequency between follow-ups that you can set up, I guess, is the question.
So general rule of thumb is at least weekly. Sometimes twice weekly, especially if there's a payment plan in place and someone hasn't adhered to that, you definitely would contact them. But general rule of thumb is there's a communication every week. And that communication begins 3 to 5 days after an invoice comes due. So that's the communication flow minimum. But there are also laws around how many times you can communicate with a customer, and you're only allowed so many points of contact in a week. So a point of contact is considered to be an email, an SMS, a message left on a voicemail or an answer machine, or talking to someone on the phone. So you can't just ring and ring or email and email. So just remember, just because you're not speaking to someone If you're sending an email or an SMS, it is still legally a point of contact, and you should not be doing more than 3 of those a week, or it's considered harassment.
So, yeah, that's a good point as well. So
Yeah.
over communication is sometimes bad too, Amanda. The one thing is, again, we have a whole bunch of questions, but there's one more I just want to follow the train of thought from this particular person that's asking the question, is why only 6 reminders, right? Why not have, up to reminders? So let me just give it a context there, and I'll get you, Amanda, to add to that as well. Is firstly, the actual reminders or the pre-reminders even are triggered by the invoice terms that you have in your accounting system. So someone say, if you set up terms of COD, then, or let's say 30 days from, invoice date, it knows the due date. We know the due date at ezyCollect, and then the communication workflow kicks off, say 10 days or 5 days or 2 days after the invoice becomes due. Now, if you keep sending communications and someone pays, for example, it'll automatically stop chasing. But what happens is, as you keep chasing a customer, if you keep sending multiple communications, they can probably get the sense that this might be automated, or you keep sending emails. You need to do something different. 6 communications is a lot of communication to a customer over, say, 6 weeks, right? To say, hey, if you haven't paid, what else do I need to do? Do they need to go onto a payment plan? And I'll get you to talk in a second, Amanda, and just give your view. But the way ezyCollect handles this is after 6 communications, you have the option to do something different. You can escalate to a debt collector. You can send a demand letter. You could send a couple of manual emails above the 6th follow-up, but you've got to do something different. If you keep leaving it on an automation schedule, you're going to find that potentially you're getting sort of the same thing happening again and again, and you'll get ignored. So you can see things that are manually that have gone past that 6th follow-up. You can go in here and you can treat those customers differently. You can send one-off emails. You can send bulk SMSs. You can escalate to demand. You can send a demand letter. It's about doing something different. And Amanda, maybe you can add your thought as well, because that's the way we design the system.
So what I'd like to say here is, number one, nobody should have accounts 90 days or more overdue. And if you do, you should have 1 or 2, and very specific reasons why they're there. But if you're in a situation where you have numerous accounts at 90 days, this is the purpose of the 90-day turnaround program. Those accounts over 90 days specifically need to be managed in a whole different way to accounts that are coming due and can go through this ezyCollect communication process. The idea of ezyCollect is that it helps you manage your receivables that presumably are already in reasonably good shape, or to get them, into a more manageable position. ezyCollect isn't so much a bad debt management tool. So if you've already got accounts that are 90 days or older, they specifically need some real human attention. Obviously you're at the point now where automation is not working. This needs to be serious communication, deals in place, what's happening, and even maybe deciding whether the next step for legal action is required, which I'm not a fan of, but there are times when it's necessary. But a lot of those old debts are very collectible. It's just the right communication isn't being had. So if you do have a ledger that's got a lot of older debt like that, for goodness sake, please be one of those first 20 people and speak to me, because that's where my real expertise will help you get that money in the bank.
Yeah. And of course, what I'm showing you on screen is a way for you to slice and dice your data with customers with using certain filters, and then doing some bulk communications to these customers and saying, hey, by the way, let's send all our customers a bulk email saying, if you don't pay in the next 10 days, we need to put your account on hold and we need to escalate to a third party. These sort of things are very, very useful, and they can really help you as a business to handle, if you have a lot of people over 90 days, which, as Amanda said, is not ideal. You can communicate in bulk with these customers, and that's something which I think we can take offline absolutely, and share with you how you can manage that. We've got a couple more questions just because of time. We'll just move on. Someone asked, what are the merchant fees if you choose to use the payment service through ezyCollect? So all the merchant fees are actually on our website, and it's based on the volume that you have. So it's typically 1.5 to 1.7% for Visa, MasterCard. But as Amanda said, you can either absorb those fees or you can choose to surcharge those fees. Amex is more. It always is more. It's about 2.6, 2.7% potentially, but it can come down again based on like volume. And again, you can surcharge those fees. So it's really about if you want to accept credit cards, merchant fees are important, but that's only if you're going to absorb it. Think about surcharging. We've got another question here. How do you use those credit risks with that semicircle wheel to inform your communication with these clients? So I think, man, this might be for you. Is when you look at the credit risk of different customers, how do you use the credit information, I guess, around your communication follow-up strategies, more than just calls?
Yeah, okay. So the number one thing I want to say here first is the reason I love ezyCollect in this credit risk analysis screen is because if your information for these customers is not correct, that can also affect this credit risk analysis, and it might be a reason why it's showing as a severe risk rather than moderate or normal. So if you've got wrong ABNs or ACNs or incorrect information or no information, then it will show up here as such. So the good thing about this screen is it forces you to have your information correct, which is vital when you're dealing with your customers. Knowing the differences between the entities that you're trading with, especially if you're dealing with trusts. So to answer the question, how the communication here would be different depending on whether they're a moderate risk or a severe risk. Obviously, if they're a severe risk, how I would go in on the communication with that customer is from a genuine place of care and concern, not from a place of, hey, we think you're going broke and we want our money before you do. That's not what this is about. What this is about is ringing and saying, hey guys, look, we've noticed that the account, you've sort of been paying a little bit later each month, and look, we get that it's difficult times. You know, how are you guys going with your cash flow? What can we do to help? Because obviously, you know, we're doing our forecast and, you know, we need to manage our cash flow as well. And that is always the easiest way, without any training, the easiest way for you to talk to customers about serious situations is actually make it about your own cash flow. You need to manage your own cash flow. And so that's why you're calling them to see how their cash flow is going, because you'd actually like them to pay the bill because you need that money too. And there is no shame in business, and it's something a lot of business owners and people in AR struggle with. There is no shame in asking for your money, but society makes you feel that way because we are taught in these countries that, you know, talking about money, religion, or politics is rude or no-no. So we're not good at conversations about money, and we're definitely not good about asking for our money. So have some authenticity and power around being okay with the fact that you would like to be paid for the product or service you've provided. After all, if you're not in business to be paid for what you do, then you won't be in business for long. So there is no shame in expecting to be paid, but you can make that conversation about your own cash flow and include theirs at the same time. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, man. That makes sense to me. I hope it made sense to the people asking the question. So we have time for one last question, only because of time. We I think are over. But one of the questions is, what does it actually cost for both Amanda, you and I, past the 60 days? So look, it passed, I guess, the 2 months free and your 60 minutes, I should say. I think, you know, for Amanda specifically, I'll let you speak about yourself. For ezyCollect, pricing on the website. If you are not already a customer of ezyCollect, you can sign up. You get 60 days free, and after that, the pricing is as per the website. Amanda, is 60 minutes typically enough from you, or what do you see happening after that?
60 minutes is enough for me to advise a business on what they really need and how they need to attack any cash flow issues they've got with their receivables. It's a good amount of time to get a really good grasp on their situation. After that, if they want more input from me and really want to get down to the nuts and bolts and do that 90-day turnaround program, it's based on the amount that their ledger is and how much work is involved. So my pricing is very specific to the business. the number one thing that I am really big on is getting in and getting out. I am not someone that wants to be in your business all the time. I'm there to teach you how to do it the best way possible. And I'm just a little bit of a lifeline for you once in a while when you might have an extreme circumstance or an extreme customer case. But other than that, I'm here to teach you how to do it yourself in 90 days so that you manage it in-house. And what I teach you is 100% scalable with the growth of your business. So my model works no matter how big your business is or how small it is or what your growth trajectory is. So my pricing, and I want you to get this, my pricing never costs you a cent, because what I'm going to teach you will get your money in the bank before you even have to pay my invoice. So I pay for myself, make no mistake about that, because you're going to get money in the door that you haven't had in your bank for what? 90 days, 120 days, 6 months, 12 months. So that's how I want you to see it. It's value, not cost.
Good. Okay, good. Look, well, thank you everyone for today's webinar. A copy will be sent to everyone on the webinar, and any questions that we haven't answered, we'll get to you privately. And thank you, Amanda, for your time. We'll get the template across that you've prepared to everyone else as well. And on behalf of ezyCollect, for all our customers on the call and prospects and everyone else who's joined us, thank you.
Thanks so much, AJ. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys, and I wish everybody the best. I look forward to talking to some people.